What's
Oh,
up,
how do
everybody?
oh,
We're on, Lance. Come on. Give the
ah,
Hi,
Steph. What's up?
how are ya? Good
Well,
to
we're
be
doing good.
here.
so I love starting off with a bang, you know, and talking about amazing people. We have a legendary person here today. I am really excited. We have Stephenie Lievense, who to me, I think I met
La-
her.
Lance, I gotta correct you. I'm sorry. It's Stephenie Lievense, but I don't know if we want
m-
to.
Man, I'm already,
It just, you would want me to, I think. Uh,
I think you have to.
I think I
The
have
whole
to.
reason, Lance, I had you introduce her because I thought you knew how to pronounce the last name correctly. And now we're out of the gates running.
I feel so unknown.
Gosh, I
It's
think we
okay.
should
It's such a hard one. It is such a hard one. Usually we get Lievense, but
Lievense.
I
yeah.
Ooh.
still double check when I spell your name a lot. I still like double check to make sure I have it correctly. I feel like you and Nicole's is Sazowski.
Yeah, yeah.
Last two names, I'm missing one letter.
I
So
know.
I'm learning.
So how many times have I said it wrong? Did I say it wrong regularly, or is this my first time saying it wrong?
I don't know. I would probably not correct you most of the time, but because we're on, live, I
I
thought I'd
know.
let you
This is
know.
really important for everybody. I hate for them to call you incorrectly, like I just did.
It's okay.
Let's
It,
let's
it's
say it
not that big of a
together.
deal.
Let's say it
Leavens,
together.
like it's like Stevens.
Levens, like Stevens.
Yep. hmm hmm
Levens, like Stevens.
You got it.
Here. And she is a legend, even if you can't pronounce her name or you do it
Which
incorrectly.
many can't. Yeah. My son's graduated as, James Levanse and William Levendi or something like that. So that's very typical.
But I am excited to have you here. You and I go way back to Fuller with Megan. We just had her on. And I think you and I had you had like the coolest privilege, I think, at Fuller to be like in the first practicum training. And you and Jeremy had the privilege of sitting next to Terry, watching
Mm-hmm.
Terry review video.
Mm-hmm. I know. I was thinking about that as I listened to Megan and thinking about you, Lance, just how stressful it was for those of you in the room doing therapy in front of Terry and how happy I was to be sitting next to him, just listening to his thoughts and feelings about everybody. And learning and learning and learning. And I've continued to sit next to him ever since then. And I can't say enough about the gift that has been in my development as a therapist, but also as a person. Terry's a pretty awesome guy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, when it comes to all around like amazing people in the world, Terry Hargrave, great guy. Love him.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, I
changed
do
my
too.
life,
Just
just
a
close
little bit of
family people.
that. Uh-huh. Yeah. R- r- he did an intervention on me that I think helped me more than 10 years of therapy had.
Oh,
So he did 10 minutes of therapy with me, and I was uh, better than I had been after 10 years. So anyway, yeah, he's amazing. He is amazing. And is Sharon. I mean,
yes.
the powerhouse couple, right?
Yes. And Steph, you have a practice
Yep.
in La Cañada. Big
Mm-hmm.
fans of your practice. You got such a cool group team there. I love Estelle. She comes to my consultation group a lot and
She's the
um
best.
yeah, you got Tasha and Ben Ledek, and I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of other people, but those are the ones that
It's
I'm,
Ben Leddick, by the way.
Man.
I'm just gonna mess with you on the names now, Lance. I
yeah, I'm
I
just gonna see how bad. I feel like I have to pronounce the H in Rhett's name now.
I was gonna say, do you even know how to pronounce my name,
Rhett.
Lance?
right?
Smith?
Hopefully this is entertaining for people.
Yeah,
Probably more for us. But
I only knew about the legend because everyone kept talking about the off ramp. back at the RT dialogue, how
Mm-hmm.
The
this
moment.
person in the room came up with this idea of needing an off-ramp, and that was you,
Mm-hmm.
Stephenie. And so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of knew about who you were before we actually met in person. So we're excited to unpack a lot of stuff today. And as Lance and I were talking, there's kind of a lot of different directions we could go, but I thought let's just start with what's been going on in your community the last few months and how you've navigated
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, well, I I think you're referencing the Eaton fires,
I
which
am.
are, yeah, we're so La Cañada is a little kind of suburb, kind of west and north of Pasadena, and right next to Altadena, which is where a lot of the Eaton fire destruction happened. About 9,000 homes were destroyed, and our community was, not very many more than that. That's more than half the homes. Um, and I live in Altadena, so that's been a really big deal here, and definitely a a place where we are helping our community come back to feeling safe in a world that is so in their face, unpredictable, and unfair. Uh, in in the now, myself included. My whole street burned down, except for four houses, one of them being mine, and those only survived because my husband and my son and my brother-in-law, who my husband and my brother-in-law are firefighters, they were able to borrow hose from a neighboring fire station, hook it up to the hydrant outside my house, and put the fire out. So that is, it's one of the most unsafe times I've ever experienced. Um, and probably the worst part was leaving my 20-year-old son there, to help his dad and my brother-in-law. That was pretty hard to drive away from. Anyway, so yes, and our community's been struggling. So my um, center has been offering free or low priced therapy for folks who are impacted by the Eaton fire. And as you can imagine, a lot of the things that people are coming in to talk about is around safety, around how do I feel safe when out of nowhere everything that I owned is gone. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Steph, I mean, what a heroic story. I mean, just hearing about your husband and brother-in-law and your son. I mean, I can only imagine that experience of leaving them and all of that. And I mean, and then I mean, obviously your son, he already has like amazing stories to tell for the rest of his life, but like now he gets another one.
I know.
And but just to go through that whole experience,
Yeah.
just really, hits home, I mean, for lack of
It
better
was it was
words.
pretty scary. Yeah. When I left, he was by himself. My husband and my brother-in-law hadn't arrived yet, and the houses across the street were lighting on fire. So, and he said, "Mom, if we're thinking about predictability, openness, and justice," he said to me, "I will leave." He had his car running. He said, "If it gets any worse, I will drive away," which he ended up doing. He drove down the street. He drove south because it was getting too scary for him to be there by himself. But that's uh, that's sort of where we're maybe going to end up, is that you can't trust the world, but you can trust people,
Yeah.
and there's safety in that.
Hmm.
So I was able to drive away because I trust my son. He's reliable, predictable, dependable, open, and fair. And I knew he would take care of himself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So there
Yeah,
was
I
a
think that's important to name actually. When we talk about safety and restoration therapy, there's these like three like big ideas that we talk about, and you're naming them. And these are these big things that get broken.
Mm-hmm.
But these are like the three things that are foundational to helping people, which,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to safety, that's where we have trustworthiness. Those are the two big umbrella terms that we talk about
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
restoration therapy. And the things that really help to have trustworthiness, the first we talk about is that balance of give and take where things feel fair or just. The second we usually talk about is predictability. And we were talking right before the debate on how predictable is we need and predictable or reliable. We just use that term 80
Oh yeah,
between 80 and 90%. Uh,
right. Yeah.
is, when we're talking about reliability, and
Well,
that's
that humans aren't even 100% predictable or reliable.
Mhm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're gonna blow it here and there, which is important to know. And then finally, this idea around openness, can I be real? Is what I say to you congruent? Like am I able to share that? And am I safe to hold a secret?
And am I willing to be open? Am I willing to rely on other people and reach out for help and not isolate myself? Uh, that that piece too. Yep.
Absolutely.
I think even prior to this conversation, Stephenie, you were talking about emotional self-regulation versus co-regulation. And I'm wondering how that fits into if the world's unsafe, right? But you also need people who are safe, but people aren't always predictably safe. So like how are we supposed to navigate that as individuals, like living in a world that feels unsafe? And maybe the people around us at times feel unsafe too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm curious what that looks like, if you can put some language around that, or even
I think
some of your
that's a
own
really,
experience.
yeah. I love that question, Rhett. I think about that a lot. Um, and maybe the very first thing that people have to do, or that I had to do, I don't know if this will relate for the two of you guys, but is accept. It's accepting that the world is not safe. It's not fair. It's not always predictable. Like really coming to terms with that is true. I mean, it's sort of depressing, but it's true. and and I think what we see are people who try to micromanage and control every aspect of their world as though they could somehow, if they do the right thing, keep it safe, 100% safe. And it's just not possible. Fires come and destroy communities. Disease comes and takes people away that we love. And no matter what you do, you can't stop it. So I think the first thing is this acceptance, kind of radical acceptance that the world is not safe, and that people are not perfect, right? I think it's important to realize that people are safe. You uh, we've got to surround ourselves with safe people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not, but that 85 to 90% safety is not nothing. That's something you can depend on and rely on. And then from there we can start looking at the places where we have empowerment, the places where we have choice, we have empowerment, we have connection, and that's what makes it possible to take the next best step, right? To move forward in the knowing that the world isn't safe.
What are a big thing, like when you think about,
Is
I
this
think it's
getting too
really,
existential?
No, it's
Okay.
actually, you got us like thinking a lot about this,
yeah.
Okay.
like, I mean, I'll let Lance just go ahead with and share, but I mean, this is where a lot of anxiety comes from when we want certainty in a world that's uncertain.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so your idea of acceptance is as you said, it's pretty radical. Radical acceptance is a very difficult thing. What were we gonna say, Lance?
I was right there with you, Rhett, around this idea of like it, you know, I think sometimes we drive ourselves batty by trying to make our world safe. And realizing and being able to accept, as you're saying, that we're not there. And I think this is when it comes to restoration therapy, this is one of the hard parts when we're doing truth work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we're doing truth work with our clients, one of the popular sayings is you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to get them to like they want to say that they're safe. And that does not hold water, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, unless it's connected to some other meaning for the client. But
Yes.
saying things like I'm connected might be more powerful, right? I'm not alone. Uh, because what happens is once the world is unsafe and unpredictable, that you end up relying more on humans. You need more of that connecting piece because the
One.
idea is no matter what happens, I know I will be okay because I'm connected, meaning open, connected to other people. I have empowerment to make choices about what I'm going to do or not do. And I can always take another step. There's always choice.
Hmm.
So, but what you're saying, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's not easy, but I agree that just saying I am safe, unless you've done a lot of work to put some meat behind that, it's sort of an empty statement.
Well, you said
Yeah.
this came up a lot, Stephanie, recently, right? With some students or training. I mean, the
Yeah.
idea of safety, and I know Terry has talked about this a lot as
Yes.
well. So it seems to be a critical point of.
I mean, it was exactly this question. I just did the level 2. I'm training with Terry to be a level 2 trainer. Lance, I think you're doing that too, right?
Yes.
So love that. I love training. And it
I'm
was,
hoping to hit level 8 eventually.
well, I'm going to go for level 10. So, well,
Oh,
no,
well,
I'm just
Rat's
kidding.
already level 20.
Maybe
Yeah.
we could do it together. That would be fun, super fun. Um, but that was one of the main questions was we live in this unsafe world. How do we help our clients find safety? And Terry talked about predictability, openness, and justice. And so, and that, empowerment, the empowerment that comes with recognizing those things helps you take the next step towards um, keeping yourself safe, if that makes sense. But yeah, um,
So
how do
let's
we, and
let's
because so
play
the
with
next,
that.
it's
Yeah.
acceptance and then tolerating. How do I tolerate that even in relationships, I'm only, 80 to 90% safe?
Well, and I was thinking, I'm really thinking about this number. It seems like maybe in certain seasons of life we have to show up more consistently, even like it's even more critical, like I'm thinking about my own past, my own history, my own restoration work where I can be not perfect, but there might be seasons that the people around me need me to be even more predictable or consistent than maybe I historically show up.
Mm-hmm.
And does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like certain
Totally.
seasons require a certain awareness that I have to show up in a person's life in even more consistent, predictable,
Absolutely.
trustworthy ways. Not that I can just coast it the rest of the time, but I might, just like your son paying attention to the fire, I have to be like more aware and diligent about how I'm
Yes.
showing up in this relationship in the way that this person needs me. And that, you know, I wouldn't even, that's not even co-regulation. It's just my duty to show up as a safe person, I think. And this person is dependent upon that in certain seasons, I guess.
Yep. Mm-hmm. It makes me think about having little kids.
Yeah.
You are so much more required. Uh, really, we should be doing it all the time, but
Yeah.
it's much more impactful on little people that look at you and think you are the safety. So what are you going to teach them about that?
It's the weirdest thing, man, to be entrusted with such a little person.
Yeah, and you're like God with skin on to them
Scary.
until they turn what? I don't know, 13.
You guys know
Yeah.
more about that than I do. You guys are
Yeah, Rhett and I have we're both sending kids off to college, right?
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I was telling Lance before you hopped on, it's like it's kind of pre-grieving. Like we're in a position that we're doing what we set out to do, which was to help launch our daughter out into the world. But there's also, yeah, this anxiety about it's not a safe world at times, and I'm not going to be able to be there in all the ways that I
Mm-hmm.
have been with her under my roof.
Mm-hmm.
And how do I, yeah, emotionally regulate myself in a situation where, she's in a different state, different part of the country, different time zone. Whew, tough.
I think
but
I see that happening for you just now as we're talking about it even. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they just got home late last night from a trip. And so I think she'll be in the state of Washington. And yeah, that's kind of like I was thinking of scaffolding. The scaffolding comes down as kids age, and our ability to manage our own anxiety and to regulate is so critical, I think, to not only us, but to their success as well. So she doesn't feel like she has to take care of me or
Mm-hmm.
worry about dad
Mm-hmm.
and mom. And so it's a lot of work emotionally, and I can tell that the next several months will be a lot of that space.
So do you just tell yourself I'm safe?
Um, I don't know what I tell myself. I kind of tell myself I think it's gonna be okay. Like we're gonna be okay. Like we've done. Like I can trust in the work, in the relationships that we have, and know that everything's gonna be okay. And that doesn't mean that there won't be difficult times or challenges, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a deep sense of like things will be okay. And um I'll have to think on that more. But
Mm-hmm.
I was writing, I'm doing, well, I don't think she'll listen to this podcast, so I can say it. I'll keep it a little journal that I'm writing that I'll give to her when she launches off to college and stuff. I've been writing little
Oh.
entries in it. And one of the things I was writing the other day is just encouraging her to trust in her gut and her instincts that have led her this far, and to um follow the path that God has her on, and when it's easy to get distracted, and to lean into that truth that I know she already knows about herself. Um, and so just encouraging that. So I don't know. It's I'm in new territory, Stephenie. So
Oh, that is so lovely, Rhett.
I'm in a
Like,
new boundary.
what a gift to her. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Wow. That's really cool.
what's getting you through it, Steph?
Benign neglect. Just kidding. That was my parenting style, but no, what's getting me through it? Well, we've been through a lot of things that are even less safe. So I think um my skin is pretty thick at this point. Um and it's what you're saying, Rhett, that I and kind of what we're talking about. I have no control. I really don't. I mean, besides, all the 18 years that we've put
Right.
into our children, I love the empowerment of saying, well, but I could write something to my child letting them know how valuable they are to me. There's some empowerment there. But in general, I can't control what's going to happen. I have to trust my kid that he's 80 to 90% trustworthy. Sure. Okay. But that the thing is, what helps me is remembering, well, God's 100% trustworthy. 100%. No matter what happens, we will be okay. Truly. No matter what happens, we will be provided for if we stay awake, right? If we keep in that space of empowerment. So meaning asking for guidance. At least that's what works for me, right? Saying,
Yeah.
I'm in an unsafe feeling situation. Lead me to safety. Lead me to the people I need to be in connection with, to the right next step. So I'm not alone. I've got 100% safety in God. And then we also 100% of the time can reach out to people to help us, right? So I talk to other moms and dads who are sending their kids to college, and that helps. But if something terrible were to happen, I know that I have people around me that would support me and help me stay okay to take care of my kid. That will never change. And I guess I'm at a point where that's enough for me. I have accepted that I have no control really over what happens in my children's life once they're out of the home, right? I mean, I have influence, but not control. I don't know. I feel like I just talked for a long time.
No, you've
No,
obviously done a lot of work
yeah.
for you to be at
Yeah.
this place, I think, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm listening to you and I'm like, that's somebody who's done a lot of work to
Yeah.
come to a place where she can trust that no matter what happens, like,
Well, trial by fire, you know? I mean, I, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but it
yeah,
does come from my son's medical challenges.
Yeah.
You know,
Take us through that.
having to say goodbye to your 9-year-old. Well, he was 10. Say goodbye to your 10-year-old as he gets wheeled into an operating room to have his chest broken and his heart taken out. um, I don't. How do you keep standing and do that? It's probably the most unsafe, unpredictable, unfair situation I've ever been in, or maybe any parents in, you know, who's dealing with a medical situation with their child. It forces you to confront the reality that we're not promised safety, and it's not fair.
Mhm.
So then what? Do we fall down and feel sorry for ourselves? And maybe for a little while we do, but
You get a little bit, I would imagine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Is this podcast, are we able to talk about God here or
Yeah.
no?
This
Well,
is
it's too
we
late
want
now. We're
real
already into it. Yeah, let's talk about God.
Well, because I had a real reckoning. I mean, I did fall down when my son was diagnosed and we were told he has to have a heart transplant. And there's a whole drama story to that, including a helicopter flying to Children's Hospital and you know, him almost dying. But I did break down. I was a mess. I was confronted with this reality that the world is not only unsafe but like completely unsafe, and I still had a let's see, 11-year-old child to take care of and a job, and how was I going to do that in the midst of maybe losing my child? I'm sure so many people could relate to this. And I'm not, I, yeah, anxiety took over. That's what I will say for, for a good amount of time. And I had to have this reckoning. It's going to sound so, I, I can't believe it. I hope not too many people listen to this. But anyway, I had to have this reckoning where I literally was walking through the hallway in my house, just consumed with anxiety about what was going to happen. How was I going to get through this? I don't think I can manage the fear in this. Um, and I had to speak out loud my truth, but it wasn't just my truth to me, it was me and God speaking it out loud.
Mm.
Um, this is going to sound so weird, but I really was saying against the evil one that was trying to smush me down, trying to make just take everything away so that I don't fight anymore, that I could have just crawled up in a ball and gone to sleep, literally, and checked out. And so together, God and I said, basically, not today, Satan.
Okay.
I just like, but it was talking out loud. It was speaking up about, no, you have prepared me for this. I have relationships that will support me. I have family that loves me and is strong, right? I'm smart. I I'm resilient. I've been through hard things before. I can do this. I can do this. And it was literally just claiming that truth that even
Yeah.
in this horrible situation, I still got some stuff. I got some stuff. And most importantly, I got the creator of the universe on my side. So we're going to be okay. Um, and that shifted everything for me. That helped me show up, which is, I guess, what we do, even in an unsafe world. We keep showing up.
I think this really shows like for us as therapists, to me, like number one, Steph, I mean, I remember watching the like when you would put post up and I
Oh,
love,
yeah.
seeing, like being in the trenches and the tough parts, but then, the great news when it would come and then the powerful stories of you not being alone. That I mean, that firefighter community that you guys are a part of is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But um I think what you're talking about here when we look at restoration therapy, when we look at the usage of the 4 steps, it's not this like cute therapy tool that's out there that's like that we teach people. This is a weapon that like really
Mm,
helps us to go to task
yes.
when the whole world is against us. When we feel totally locked and we don't know what to do.
It's a weapon. It's our shield, our buckle and our shield.
Yeah. And I have so much respect for the way that you went to task there, and to see I can imagine you in that hallway, you know,
Mm,
tearing down the evil one
mm-hmm,
in that place to say,
mm-hmm.
no, I'm not alone. Not
Right.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing, and what's crazy is that I don't know that I ever would have gotten this peace that I have had I not been through that war, if we want to keep with that theme.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. And it makes me think about what Rhett was saying too, that, in times of conflict or in times of stress, we're, we do have to show up more intentionally and with more power and maybe with a weapon of, but for good, a weapon for good.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm.
What goes on inside of you, Rhett? I can see
I,
all wheels going all at once.
No, yeah, it's hard to put into words. I had that image because I'm 50 and I grew up in the age where Saturday Night Live skit, the guy's talking to the mirror about how he's smart enough and good enough and doggone it, people like him. And that's not what we're talking about. This isn't like
mm,
self-talk. This is about as Terry would say, I think taking a stance or a position in your life, like stepping into
Yes.
a place of, I like your language, Stephenie. It's stepping into a place of empowerment that I can create change here and do something. And it's hard to talk about and to like explain it, but when you're in it and you have to embody that, it's it changes your life for good. You have that experience now that is like almost a template of like, I can do this. I know what this looks like. And not that it's easy every time, of course, to do that, but I was just thinking about that, you know.
You're exactly right. Yep.
And faith, I know, is important to the three of us, and we know that you can practice RT and come from different faith backgrounds or not come from a faith background, but we all lean into those things that have gotten us through life. And I know for you, like that relationship with God was absolutely critical. Um, I was going
It
to ask
was.
you, how do you know God's 100% safe for you? Like, how does that, you said that with such resoluteness that I was like,
I know he 100% of the time will, if I ask and I'm looking, right?
yeah,
If I'm close with him, and I think 100, this is just my understanding, and I am not a theologian, but 100% of the time he will have a way out, or he will have a way to walk. He will have a way um, um, through. It
mhm,
doesn't mean it won't hurt. It won't be really hard. It won't be painful, but he will never leave me ever, ever. I will never be alone. He will always be there. And he will always, if I ask, bring people, relationships, support into my life to be physical, not alone. Um, and that's kind of what it is, so that you can handle the things that are unfair and unpredictable, right? It's the openness piece, the open to connection and vulnerability, that I think helps the other two pieces, meaning that things are unpredictable, and things are not just. We don't live in a just world, or a predictable world per se. um,
Yeah. As you were talking about that, I don't know if you went here, Rhett. I'm getting ready to go on this like C.S. Lewis like trip.
and
Like
I know
going all
exactly where you're going. Go there.
I think I might too. I want to hear it.
So we're going to like go all over Ireland and just kind of like learn about Ireland and Cambridge and Oxford and learn like see the trails. And Rhett, you've already done this, talk about moments of reckoning. You've sat in the conversion spot of C.S. Lewis. But there's this really poignant scene in the Chronicles of Narnia. And Lucy is asking about Aslan. And I hope I get this quote right, but I think she says, is he safe?
Mm,
And Beaver, I believe, is talking and says, who
Mhm.
said anything about safe? And he has this like amazing line. He says, but he's good and he's the king. And I always think about that idea of like there knowing that there's goodness that's out there that, you know, we might not feel safe in the moment, but knowing there's goodness out there, can sometimes turn the head, turn the ear, turn the heart, to make that transition to that thing that might be that courageous step that you need to make.
mm-hmm,
That
mm-hmm.
yeah, that's kind of where I don't know where were you, Rhett?
Exactly. That whole interaction there when she's questioning if he's safe and he says, no, of course he's not safe, but he's the king, I tell you. He's good and he's the
Mm-hmm.
king. And I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
sa- it's like we can kind of parse even the idea of safety, and safety is not that life goes our way or that we're free from harm or bad things don't happen, right?
That's right.
It's almost like we're saying safety is that I don't know, that there'll be a sense of justice, that I'm empowered to, like I think you said, Stephenie, connect to other people in the midst of great trials.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, yeah, nothing is guaranteed. And so safety isn't about just moving through life
But
easily.
100% guaranteed is that you have choice
Yeah.
always in every situation. 100%. You always have a choice. It
Yeah.
might be very minimal, but you choose. What are you going to do?
Yeah. I said to a group last week I was speaking at, it's kind of like a recovery group, and I was reflecting on, the passage that everybody wants to quote in Jeremiah 29, 11, 12, and 13, that I have a plan to prosper you and to do good and all this stuff. But we don't like the part where he says that in the midst of, I'm about to send you to 70 years into exile. And so exile is not safety at all, but they are empowered. He does say, I want you to plant vineyards and grow gardens and build homes and get married and raise kids and have families and be about the peace of the people around you, even those who have you in captivity. And so it's safety is not that there's not all kinds of crazy stuff happening around us, but it's our ability to make choices in the midst of it and to be about the peace of us and the other people around us, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I love that you also point out this idea, is what I'm holding on to, at least from you, Rhett, is this idea of hope.
Yeah.
There, that in the midst of the turmoil, there's still hope, there's hope for William, there's hope for the exiled people of Jerusalem, that there is a hope. And I think as therapists, this is one of our major jobs, is to help people discover this hope, like what, like that to me is one of the big questions that come in the room, are you tell it, do we have hope, right?
It makes me think of that quote from Redemption, I think. I'm terrible at
Mm.
this, but you either get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah.
Like, what are
Yeah.
you going to do? I mean, you got to face the facts, but have hope. Yeah. Yeah. And I love, Rhett, what you were saying too made me think about how important it is to be in community and connection with people.
Mhm.
That um the openness piece, right? Um anybody who's gone through trauma, right, forces you to rely on people in a way that you wouldn't normally. I'm it's hard to ask for help. It's hard to say, I'm falling apart. I don't know what to do. I need you to come in and save me. But when you do that, when you're forced to do that or you choose to do that, you really learn that people show up for you. You know what I'm saying? We might not believe that people are as safe as they actually are, but we have to take that step of openness, um, taking a risk. I think you guys talked about this with Megan, even like calling someone and saying, "Would you help me?" And that's how it feeds the truth that you are in fact safe in that you're not alone, right?
Yeah.
So,
So let's get into the brass tacks for with this second or this kind of latter section here, because I like to take this to a practical level, right?
sure,
And I
let's
want
do
to
it.
hear how you guys are helping clients with this. Because if you're telling me what happened with William, I just say, just I want you to break out your sword. Let's just go crush the evil one together. Let's go for it. I'm curious, what does this look like in the therapy room for the two of you, when you're helping a client that is just so beholden to this idea that people are not trustworthy. I'm all alone. Uh, or, it's not, I'm not safe. I love this idea of acceptance. I love this idea of empowerment. But how are you guys actually meeting your clients in that space?
Stephenie, go.
Well, Rhett, I think you were there. I don't
Yeah.
know, Lance, maybe you were too. Like, um, I had the opportunity at one of the Turning from Anxiety trainings,
Yeah.
to get worked on by,
Is this the 10 minutes that Terry changed your life versus all
yes.
therapy? Yeah.
Well, it was, and Matt Rabsmith and Terry.
Yeah.
And I have repeated that with my own clients. Um, let me think about how to share. The basics are, well, I mean, how practical do you want to get? The thing Terry had me do, which was very helpful, and
Yeah.
Matt, I'm going to combine the two things because it's hard to sort them out in my head, but was to think of the things that I feel most out of control about, right? So I would have my client tell me the 4 things that you feel most out of control about. And I have a woman who has a ton of anxiety about being out of control. We write them down on a piece of paper, put them around her, so 4 cards, and we say, well, which one is the worst? Which one is the one that, like, when you look at that, scan your body, that is the one that brings up the most anxiety for you. Then from that place, we work on that trigger, I guess, in bringing to her the things that have the ways that, one, she's shown up to be predictable for herself in the past. So, and this was done to me. How have you gotten through things that were hard or scary in the past? So helping her see the ways she's predictable for herself, reviewing, well, maybe what would other people say about you, about how you've handled hard things in the past. That's part of the predictable place.
Yeah.
The second one, the justice piece, would be talking about the fact that, yes, this is unfair. Can we be in line with that together? It's unfair. How have you managed unfair things in the past? What would other people say to you about the way you've managed unfair things in the past? And then the openness piece, I have really used that to talk about who is in your life now. What are the ways that you can rely on other people now to help you if and when this scary thing were to happen? And through those, finding the truth words for the person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or making bigger their truth words, assuming you already have them, connecting them to their own experiences of the past, um, and the current truth of who the people are in their lives that will help them through anything, whatever that would happen. And maybe that includes God, maybe not, depending on the person. And then you say, so what's the next first step you can take towards whatever it is you need to do, or that you're feeling scared about, or how do you need to show up in this situation? What's the next, just one step?
Yeah.
And that's worked for my clients, just to get them out of that powerlessness place, right? The kind of frozen, fawning, whatever you want to call it, place, to remind them that they are empowered and can do something.
That intervention, by the way, I think this is your intervention, Rhett. Isn't this,
Is
you
this
brought
yours,
this
Rhett?
to the table?
Um, I mean, I brought the one, it's not, I wouldn't call it mine. I think I probably picked up some of this in that. I love that book, my shelf here. You ever seen this book? Things might go terribly, horribly wrong.
Oh, I love it.
A Guide to Life Liberate from Anxiety. It's by a couple professors, and I don't think they have this exact, but there was loosely I picked up this idea of having people write down on note cards different things that they were anxious about.
Mhm.
And at the most, at one point, I think I had one person had like 25 cards laid out in my office, which I used to have a big office. And she just kind of had her walk around through the cards and pick up each one and kind of talk about it until eventually she was left with one card that felt like the most pressing. And it seemed like, and again, I think I probably picked this up a long way from other people, but the ability to like identify that, talk through it out loud can be very freeing because sometimes you realize that thing is not the most important thing. And then you get to that one card and you have them work through that. And I know Steph, keep calling you Steph instead of Stephenie.
It's kind of a theme. I'm going by
Yeah,
Steph. It's
I
fine. Yeah.
know.
Just call her Lievense.
Yeah, just get my last name right, man. Okay.
Oh.
No,
No,
go
it's
on.
no,
Mhm.
you're very experiential in the room, I know. And I think there's
Mhm.
something about taking your time, have people identify that thing, and then getting them up
Mhm.
out of their chair, off the couch, into practice embodying and stepping into that place of truth. And
Yes.
the thing
And
I'm working
reminding
on,
them of their weapons. I mean, I don't
yeah,
like the word weapon, but reminding them of their shield and their buckle, I guess,
yeah.
whatever. Keep going. Sorry.
No, no,
Mhm.
I think I'm realizing that is my growing area for a therapist is to keep going back to the same thing over and over and over again and have the client work the thing over and over and over again instead of
Mm.
looking for that next tool or weapon that I think will make it fix it or make it better
Mhm.
and chasing
Mhm.
that shiny object.
Mhm.
So with some people recently, we just spend session after session just getting up and practicing that movement and stepping into that. And then when they leave, I really want them to experiment with change and to practice different options at home and to like practice stepping into things and see how that feels. And but I know we need to practice that in the room to kind of get some sense of around that.
Yeah. Right. Like, so in the room, sometimes we'll take the next first step, which is
Yeah.
calling a friend and saying, "Could you come over tonight? I need some support." Or maybe it's calling their partner and saying, "I'm feeling worried about this. Can we connect and talk about it later?" Where typically they would not, you know, but actually taking the step, the real
Yeah.
step in
And
the
we're not
room.
even kidding. We're like literally talking about standing up and walking. Like we're
Yes.
not just saying, what's the step? It is
No, no.
do a step. Like
Yep.
Terry, tell them the story about the pages that Terry, like
I
he sat there. You
know.
remember this? I
I
don't know how much you
do.
remember it because you were in the moment.
I was a little in the I was so in it. You're talking about that he did with me?
Yes. You
Uh-huh.
mind if we talk about it?
You
What
can
part
talk.
of the
I was like so in it. I have trouble remembering what happened. Does that I mean it was like
Yeah.
an out of body experience kind of. So
So I think all three of us got jacked up by this intervention that you brought to the table, Rhett, at different
yeah.
points. Um,
I got jacked up, yeah, in front of Terry, in front of a big group of people. Yes, my own intervention jacked me up.
yes, it
Changed my
jacked me up too. I was like crying, talking to my dad, like who was
life.
Andrew was playing the part of my dad, and
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah, that was a whole thing. But so in this place, Terry, there was this moment, Steph's like kind of in the flow, and you just see Terry. Gentle Terry is just grabbing all like he has a whole bunch of sheets of paper and he's just dropping the sheet of paper, like sheet of paper after sheet of paper after sheet of paper all around the room.
Making a trail, kind of
Yeah.
a trail. Uh-huh.
And he grabs Steph so kindly. Did he hold your hand
Oh
or
yeah, the whole time. Hmm. That was really powerful.
he's holding your hand and he's like naming the steps with you. This is the repetition,
Hmm.
that of a master like, you know, I, beyond master therapist who
Hmm.
is just naming that step and how'd you get through
Hmm.
this step, Steph?
Hmm.
How'd you get through
Hmm.
this step? And you
Yep.
named it. And then he brought you to the big step. This is like Rhett's kind of moment that he was talking about where
Hmm.
that one big monster item that's sitting in the room.
Hmm.
And he said, okay, how are we going to do this step?
That's exactly right. And just for context, it was that the anxiety I still carry is my son's hearts don't last forever.
Yeah.
So I know this, God willing, if I live long enough, there's going to be another time where he's in trouble, big trouble. So anyway, yes. So Terry was working on that, but yes,
Yeah.
the path leading up was all the ways that there had been safety in the midst of an unsafe situation.
Yeah.
Um, and then he said, "So how are you going to get through this next thing?" And I had to say out loud, "I'm going to call my friend Megan. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to take care of my body. I'm going to pray every day. I have a plan. I know how I'm going to do it." Um, yeah. Oh, it's reminding me of it. I'm feeling empowered just now saying it out loud.
Stephenie,
In this
it,
moment again.
like, I know, like, this is why I know about your son, like his courage to
Oh
be able to take
yeah.
on a fire, because I know
Mhm.
your courage in that moment. Like, you had so much courage in front of a room of, therapists to be able to make that step. I think it just touched my heart. And I think this is just something that is such a gift for us as, to be a team and to know that this work isn't just about others. It's like, this is our own stuff. So
It totally is. And we want it. I know for me, as I say that, I think I want everybody I work with to be able to feel that peace. It truly ends up being peace. Uh, I
And it's
slept while my
ongoing.
son got his heart transplanted. I slept.
mm,
Mhm.
What? It's peace that comes when you can really get grounded in that you're safe enough.
Well, and what I hear you saying ultimately, I mean, this is ongoing work. Like
Yeah.
we never really master this, right? You're going to continue to walk through the feelings of lack of safety around your son's health. We're both
And you will about your daughter
kids.
being at college, right?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And Lance is going to walk it with his Padres, struggling sometimes
Yep.
against the
it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be
mighty Dodgers.
hard.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, no, but we all have,
And we're all getting older. We're gonna have stuff happen to our bodies. Yeah.
yeah. And that's the beauty, I think, is that we don't have this, you don't have to figure this out once and for all, but we keep practicing and practicing until it becomes
Mm-hmm.
this deep truth in us that we can like
Mm-hmm.
step into and take that position and embody that.
Mm-hmm.
And man, Lance, we definitely
Mm-hmm.
need to have Stephenie back on the podcast.
Evens.
Yeah. Because we got more to talk about. So any last words, Stephenie, you want to say before you got to go? I know we all got to go because we all are
Yeah, we all
we'll have
10,
sessions to
11, or
attend
12
to.
o'clock clients.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
anything you want to say before we sign
I
off?
I just love that you guys are doing this. What I want to say is thank you for making this dialogue happen and for being as gifted as you both are in your work as therapists, but also in this space. It's so needed and I'm loving listening to it. I probably won't listen to this one, but thank you
No,
both
you should.
very much. Thank you both for making this happen.
Of course.
Thanks. See you guys later. We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye.